we have a program, a computer program, that allows us to go in and pick an elevation throughout the city.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, if you look at that one,
right, we're flying leaning getting flood.
okay, so see that elevation?
Yeah, 733.
Okay, so you look at that elevation, and then look at this one. That's the police department.
What's that?
Okay,
726.
okay. And then you can kind of pick where that's at. You know, there's City Hall.
Yeah, 725.
Okay.
And what is
on
it?
Google Earth, that's
what is it, 722 or
What's that?
723? Is that about floodplain level or whatever? 722. I can't remember. I did Michael Richards' house. We had to take it a foot above it. I was saying.
Yeah. So if you look at the numbers, here's Quick Roads, parking lot. And as I give you these, there's Quick Roads. You can kind of see where the water bank there. 724.
Right.
Okay, and then here's Ellis Boat Harbor, which is getting close to you guys.
725, yeah.
Okay, there's getting close to you.
So,
Okay, and here's the swimming pool at Ellis Park.
724.
724, just a little bit lower.
Right.
Okay, and then,
flooded.
And then here's St. Pat's Church right in the middle of First Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
725. These are all right in that area, but getting close to you guys here. It's right down the street from me. There's Penn Avenue first.
Where they got it at?
726.
I think this might be your house right here. I'm not one of these houses. I'm not sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. Okay, so anyway, my point of this whole thing is on the west side of the river, 724.
Yeah,
okay.
725.
Okay. And as you go down the west side, if we had a flood that got to the 724, okay, or below, yeah, some people get water in their basement, but we actually could withstand a flood at the 724.
Oh, yeah,
easily. Okay.
And is that about what? About a 23-foot flood level then? Is that come out about?
That's right.
Yeah, because I figured, I mean, our house this place in 1993, I didn't live here. It was bone dry. And when we evacuated, and when the water was at the top of the hill over here, our yard was bone dry. My basement was bone dry.
That's my point here. At 724, if we had another event, without doing any flood protection or anything, we could withstand 724.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, I'm going to give you these. Look at that. This is on the west side, down further. Okay, this is on the west side. That's C Street. And there's a walking trail.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
the jogging trail where it goes over towards the Shack Tavern and all that.
Here's the ballpark at Tate Cummins, which is right down the street from there.
Mm-hmm.
See where we're still at 724?
Yeah,
okay.
I went off my motorcycle on that curve.
Okay, well, in other words, my whole thing is that at 724, we pretty much can withstand that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
I agree.
Now, here's my dilemma where I'm getting at. We also have a program. This is kind of neat. Every 15 minutes, they took the stage of the river every 15 minutes, and I don't know. Do you guys know where they do that at? When they say 12 feet.
Well, they used to have like meters along the river right behind the police department.
When they say 12 feet, that's flood station. Yeah, 12 feet. Okay. So if you go down to the 8th Avenue Bridge. And you look at, kind of by the police station, but you're on the 8th Avenue Bridge, and you look over.
That little tower?
There's a little, looks like a house.
Yeah.
That's where everything's measured. Okay, well, anyway, at 12 feet is flood stage. Now, what I did is on June 9th, 2008, I got the flood stage. And then almost every 15 minutes, how much it rose.
Right.
Okay, so you could just kind of look that over, on Monday. That's kind of where it started going to. And then Monday, and then as you get going up, I want to show you. Kind of jump.
Did it jump? Did it
here's what
I say. Yeah, we're still in the slow progression here because you finally made 12 foot.
Yeah.
We're slow.
And as you get into Wednesday, where you got into and the progression.
18, 19. Yeah.
Okay, so as you go through these, and I'll just leave these with you guys. But what really gets me is. On this date,
went up like 4 feet.
Okay, on this date, between 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 8:45, so in 3 hours and 45 minutes, it rose a little over 4 feet.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
Okay, it went over 7 feet in 19 hours on this date. Now, where I'm going with this is these numbers that the city kept track of, for a river to go up 4 feet in 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Which is over half of its rise.
Which means
19
it was dammed, okay?
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the elevations I was getting at,
right. And what about
what time?
The railroad bridge.
What time frame is that? You say?
When did the railroad bridge go down?
Well, you know, everybody talks about the railroad.
What's the date on that?
But what about the other bridge too? That.
Well, dang it, here you go. What happens is you got the railroad bridge where the train went down, okay, and obviously that impacted the flow north of there, okay.
Right, but that's behind. I'm trying to think. The railroad bridge would be behind that meter.
Let me see those papers you have right there, AJ.
So it really shouldn't dam up.
Okay, so
or go up that high with that meter.
Yeah, and what they're saying is that actually was just south. So actually it would have.
Oh, okay.
It would have a little bit. I mean, it would have impacted that because it was south or downstream from that. What I'm going to show you on the railroad bridge that's down there by Kate Cummins Ballpark on C Street.
Are you talking about that half a bridge?
No, there's a railroad bridge that goes, you know where you go to the Shack Tavern and you got to go underneath that viaduct?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, right above you is a railroad bridge.
Right.
Okay. If you guys ever get down there, you get out of your car, you just go on a walking trail, and you take a tape, and you measure the railroad bridge concrete. It's 73 inches, which is a little over 6 foot. It's not a flow-through design like all these bridges you got along here. You know, water flows through underneath the bridge.
Oh.
Okay, this is 73 inches across the main channel of the river with no flow-through. Okay. Now, when the water level got to the bottom of that concrete,
yeah, then I can't go any farther.
Can't go any further, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got 6 foot right there that it started to dam it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then of course they put the train across there. And I talked to Roger from the Shack Tavern down there.
They put a train across that one too?
Yeah, Roger's got video of it. They put a train across there. And he was over at the shack up on the hill watching. And he said, you wouldn't believe the water and the debris that got dammed up behind that train. He said it started going up and up and up. Well, we had to go out and do all the damage assessments of all you guys' property as a building department. And when we got into Czech Village, what really amazed me is people's walls that were blown out, instead of being blown out on the riverside,
blown out from the other side.
And what happened when that dammed up, it caused so much turbulence. The water, and if you talk to people down in the Mallory Street, the water started going back, and it started going like this back around.
And Michael Richards' building's down on 3rd Street in Newbo, and just from the railroad bridge collapsing and all that water getting pushed out sideways, he got debris come shoved into the back of his building. That
well, to me, had
that was just the separation of the water.
Well, had that railroad bridge down there not been there, and not a train on it, okay, the flow where it kept coming up and up and up gradually.
Just gone through.
Well, my contention is all this talk about the levee and stuff, which I'm all for protecting. I mean, I'm not against protecting anything. It's just that man-made things like that bridge that nobody talks about. You know, they talk about the one that fell. The one that fell did raise it.
But they don't talk about the other one that fell.
Well, and what happens is that there's no flow-through design down there.
Yeah.
So if a person, and I don't have the capability of doing it, but if a person was to know that elevation of the bottom of that concrete, let's say it was at 720. Okay. Well, at 720, it started damming up. Well, 6 feet, it dammed up that much in 3.5 hours, which meant everybody up here just got inundated.
Yeah,
I mean, it came up real fast.
It did, because I know somebody who was sleeping in their bed over there on 5th Street. It was only, you know, on the front sidewalk, and they were woke up by water coming up from their living room.
I say this 4 foot came up, and you know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 to 6:45.
Exactly.
Well, and what happens is nobody talks about this man-made bridge that's there now. Nobody talks about removing it. I mean, they're talking about these flood things, but nobody says.
Yeah, these flood walls.
So let's say they do the flood walls.
We still just even get them out of the dump. put some flood walls up, but when the water goes down and runs into that big hook at the dump, you know, it's to do the same thing that it always did.
And all these things that they're not talking about. To me, if they wouldn't go ahead and don't put the trains on the bridge, I realize they want to save their bridge, but you can't dam up a natural river by doing that. What happens? The train goes in the water.
Well, we got some word too that the engineer that made the call on that, he's not a mechanical engineer. It was like electrical engineer.
What gets me is when they said, "Oh, it only rose 6 inches and the train went in." Baloney.
Yeah, I'm not buying that.
But nobody talks about the other bridge that has no flow-through design. And like I say, as tall as I am, I'm by Shack Tavern. So if you ever get a chance to go down there,
that must be just on the other side of the roller dam, then, just down from the roller dam.
This side of the roller dam.
Oh, is it before it?
Yeah, because it's where you drive underneath.
You know the tunnel.
Yeah, that stone tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's right there.
It's right there. That's the tracks.
There's tracks on the side of that.
Yeah. Yep. So if you were to get out of your car and go and just measure that and look at it, say, "Oh my God!" Now, if a guy knew where that elevation was. And not only that, but when they did put that train across that, that's the main channel there. And Roger down there said that...
Then you don't let the water overflow it. It runs into a train.
Let's say they didn't have those there. I think if that was like at 720, it could have come up another 4 feet, still been okay over here.
Except that it came through the sewers.
Well, that's a separate issue.
It is a separate issue, but I don't want to see flood walls go up. When the water through the sewers.
No, that's all. The sewers have to be addressed, but they want to do all these flood walls, but they don't want to address what happened. To me, this is almost like a man-made thing.
It is.
I almost think, if I was like you guys, and a guy would pursue where that elevation was, and get an expert involved and find out did that train, yes or no, cause 7 feet of water to raise in 19 hours? That's a lot. That's high. That's a high.
Huge. A huge amount of water.
Well, had you
3 or 4 hours.
Had you got 724 here, where everything's built at, you probably wouldn't have had problems here. 724.
Yeah.
But what happened? It got over that. Well, why did it get over that? I think it got dammed.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts. If you look at all this information and where things are at, nobody ever talks about it because nobody has access to that. I'm sure.
Yeah. No, we'll have to check that bridge out. There's no doubt about that. Have you ever read the Citizens Plan? I wrote up this thing of the Citizens Plan, and I've told AJ it's about flood protection, and it's because, we were looking at they're going to build a flood wall behind the house. What would I do to protect my house? And so I came up with this idea of, it's a skeletal reinforced I-beam structure, frost level in the ground, reinforced concrete.
Look, Kitty.
And of course, you make brick or stone pillars, slide removable flood plates in. It's a good idea for a house, like, for me in my house, but it's like I told her, it even sounds great, and I got it wrote out so that it sounds really good on paper. I was like, but there's this thing called a human factor that means that it would work, because it would work great as long as everything's ready the first year or two that, you put it up, but as time went on, different tenants going to come in and steal the generator or sell the plates or, and just different things like that are going to go on. And then all of a sudden, all of us that doesn't really work. So it takes, somebody to actually have that kind of system around their house that's going to take care of their stuff or know how to use it and not lose it and that kind of thing. But in the whole thing, I talk about the water and even these flood walls. If you put this water, you channel all that water together.
When we evacuated,
heavier, faster moving body of water.
When we evacuated,
through here,
we were dry over here.
Interstate.
But it was about 2 foot under over on Ellis. Then when you go across the bridge, like over on Diagonal Drive.
Yeah. The Flying Weenie.
Diagonal Drive was underwater, but the Flying Weenie was high and dry.
Yeah. And that's why these elevations that you look at what we could withstand right now, and then you look at the human factor of, I know people talk about the bridge by Quaker and the boathouses. They always talk about that, but I truly think that a lot of this was man-made, in the fact that we could have got a 720 to 22 feet, let her flow. People in Palo, everybody north of there, you guys, Palo, even Waterloo, because once you dam up a river, it's going to affect everything up north.
Out back,
So, and you don't hear anybody talking about that. And that just, with these numbers, and I'd like to know why, in less than a 24-hour period, you'd have 7 feet. Well, it had to be dammed because if you look at how the water flowed.
This guy that has the video of the shack train, 'cause I've never even heard of them having a train on that.
The guy that has the shack.
Yeah, Roger that owns the Shack Tavern.
He has a video of the train on there.
He said he was watching it, and he said, you wouldn't believe that. He said there was like 100 basketballs. You don't know where they came from.
Oh, there's balls all over
and
there.
he said that it started going up the side of that train, all the debris and stuff, and he said then it finally broke loose on the one side, and he said just came up streaming down. But I don't understand how the water could be as violent as it was down in Czech Village, going the opposite direction unless something was dammed.
Well, the dump.
Yeah.
Well, the dump too, but
that was that bridge. You know where Cargill is, right? There's a bridge. Nobody ever talks about it, but it's there.
Yeah.
And it's only half there. Well, half of it had fallen. And you know where the dump turns, because there's like a 90-degree turn there. It was still sitting there a year ago.
Well,
I mean, why are we talking about flood walls when this crap could be cleaned up by the river?
There's a number of factors through this last flood where they just, they essentially dammed the river in another number of spots. Some of them, like
I think they wanted to flood. I mean, they already had the paperwork ready.
And we got the Penford ordeal and them. And
well, there's a reason that they don't want to talk about the trains being on the bridge or even the bridge itself because they want the flood wall to go in. And I'm all for protection, but your protection of the sewers, you got to do that.
And with that, you get new streets.
You have to get the man-made things out of the picture, which is like somebody needs to check why did that go up so much. There's a reason it did. I don't know why.
The problem that we have now is that it's like you. I mean, I'm for flood protection, but they got to address some of these issues, or it's not going to work. The problem we got
no matter how high the wall,
the state's going to give them the money to
$600 million.
Whether we even keep beating local sales taxes, the state's still going to feed them.
The only thing is if they do the flood wall, and I think it was Augusta Bush, he's one of the Bush Brewery down in St. Louis, that started Budweiser. They had a levee breakdown in Missouri. And he wrote an article in the magazine that if you try to stop Mother Nature with the river, with the levee, he goes, the problem you have is when it breaches, when that levee breaks, you don't have to worry about getting water in your house. Your house will not be here.
Yeah,
your house, everything will be devastated. And so when they're talking this flood wall as a levee, if anything gets breached in there, and you figure the volume water that we had, you start squeezing that together.
Yeah, and then it rises. So that house on I Avenue is not unreasonable.
Right now say, we don't want it down there because you squeeze that water together, it's going to rise so fast that the pail is going to get completely
full. Well, and if it rises up enough, it'll end up making it around the wall, find itself another channel.
It's just not been well thought out, and
well, that's why we haven't been able to vote for it. It's like I said, there are no numbers. There's no
I voted no both times because, you need to address it. How are you going to do it? Nobody knows how they're even going to do it and what it's going to affect, and that's what blows my mind. If they came out with legitimate things that says, here's what we're going to do, here's how it's going to work.
Well, first of all, they need to have community planning. We need to have some input here.
I was telling him at the phone, I was like, they claim they had the old community.
I went to every single community neighborhood planning process.
I said my family was there, and it was all contractors and
they were all there, It was people from Marion. I'm like, they don't care. They're like, oh yeah, let's put it in a greenway. I'm like, my house is down there. I mean, don't you people hear this? My house is down there.
Well,
now I'm not going to move.
I think there's things they could do and get to a 724, which will probably never happen in our lifetime. I mean, granted, this was an epic thing. 1961, it didn't even get, that high. So, what in 1961 they didn't have that bridge down that we're talking about.
They didn't even have this levee.
So, a lot of those things have been put in place. But these numbers I come up with the elevations and that raising.
Yeah, no, that's something else.
It's pretty incredible to raise that much. And when
this will validate Mike's story about he was asleep when that happened.
Well, the other thing
he said the whole room, everything was just spinning, and his animals just went crazy. He could have died.
They take that off of 8th Avenue, and I'm wondering, hey, at what point in time did the bridge collapse?
Yeah, and see,
like the Penford Bridge and stuff like that, because this is, it starts going up, changing that extra footage at like 3 o'clock in the morning. So you got to figure 2 o'clock, 2:30, somewhere right in there, something significant had to happen. I mean, because I know that we had water here flooding already the night before. You know, we left the house by 6 o'clock at night.
What day is it?
The water was at the top of the levee. Thursday. Thursday at 3 o'clock in the morning. So we left and went to Grandma's. We woke up the next morning. Our house was flooded this deep. Right? And so while we were sleeping, 3 o'clock in that morning, everything went up 4 foot in 4 hours.
Yeah.
7 foot in 19 hours, and all of a sudden it's 4 foot in that 4
But I think the railroad bridge collapsed during the day, and that was caught on video.
It would have had to be an evening, because remember, we didn't even leave the house till 6, and the Spanish lady...
That was Wednesday
night.
Yeah.
This is Thursday, 3 o'clock in the morning, so it's really kind of the same day. You just go to sleep that night, you know.
You know, it's just one of those things that these numbers are like, wow, how in the world? Nobody ever talks about those numbers and the elevations and stuff. And like I say, I've talked to different people in the city, and they've already got their mind made up. I realize they're going to do this whether we like it or not.
That's where we have the problems.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
They don't want to listen.
We have major problems here. We need to replace everybody on the council. We have 6 positions coming up.
They got the state telling them this.
Yeah.
They got the state telling them that, hey, you know, if you citizens can beat out a local option sales tax twice in a row, it can't take too much, and you get new council members. It's like, one thing's one thing, the other's another.
One's an issue, another's a person.
You know, we have to look at buildings that are torn down, of course. And the other day when they took the gas station down, that old Vickers station down here, right in the corner. Yeah. I was talking.
He's old school.
I was talking to the guys there, you know, about the contaminant, you know, soil and stuff they had to take out of it. Because you go see the 380 bridge or the 380 off ramp that comes down right there by across from Quaker.
I've seen plans for that.
Yeah, he goes, see that bank right there? He goes, from there all the way down the amphitheater. He goes, the city bought all this. I go, what? He goes, yeah, they already bought the Vickers. They bought the place next to it. They're going to buy the bank. They're buying everything. So they're already, he goes, we're going to put an earthen wall all the way down to the amphitheater. I mean, they've already got that plan. They're going to do it whether we like it or not.
So I was talking about the CDBG money and stuff. See, I mean, they can't do anything but put it there because that's what the money
well, then how's that work at the railroad, I mean, at the First Avenue and Second Avenue?
They're moving the dam.
Well, what they're going to do
I can't believe they're moving the dam.
They're putting flood walls back about a half a block from the river across.
Sorry about that cat.
That's at First and Second Avenue. And it's like they already got this figured out and stuff. But what bothers me is they never talk about this stuff. And why did that happen? If the railroad caused it to dam up that much and raise that much.
Why aren't we suing the railroad?
Well, I know there's a lot of people that are like, you know, hey, the railroad caused it. Well, you can't blame them for trying to protect their bridge, but if they put something in place that
caused more damage,
that's not right.
Yeah, the railroad. I was going to say the railroad being there in the first place. That's one thing. That's all speculative to the time they were building it and stuff.
Well, like the one by Quaker,
the railroad
you can't there, except the one down there. If they don't do something about that railroad bridge and build the levees, it's still going to dam right there. They got it. It's not a flow-through design.
Yeah.
But anyway, this information.
I'll definitely check that out.
But if you ever get wandering down there by that thing or by that bridge by Tate Cummins, and you just get out and you take a tape and you measure and you look across the main channel, it's solid concrete. Then you put the train on top of that.
Yeah.
You have a wall.
I can't believe they put a train on that.
Almost 17 foot high.
I don't understand why they would put a train on that.
And the elevations that I give you over there on the walking trail are like 738. So which means that train up that high and the elevations.
And the walls on both the hills on both sides.
So this is an example of what we would get. The flood, the 2008 flood, is an example of what we will get. We put up flood walls.
Well, that
basically.
Or what would happen is if you didn't have that bridge down there, it might have gotten to 723 or 724, and nobody would have got, I shouldn't say nobody, but people wouldn't have got the devastation they had. They would have got some water in their basement or...
Well, yeah, the lady next door said she had like 3 inches, but we didn't have any.
Okay, so you get water in your basement. You get water in here.
My aunt on 8th Street, her whole basement was full. So.
Well, anyway, thanks for your time. I can handle it.
Thank you.
I recognize him talking about stuff, and maybe you're beyond, you don't even want to care about it, but I just thought
No, it's good information.
I'm like, man, I don't know who really did talk to me because I called the other guy, that Eric guy.
Rosenthal?
Oh, Eric Rosenthal, yeah.
And he never called me back. And
so, you know, they're kind of funny because...
well, I called him twice, and I said, hey, anytime, like next week or something. Yeah, he goes, I'll give you a call. You got my number, and I called him, and he never called me back. I thought, well, you don't really care to talk to me.
See, Eric doesn't have anything to do with flood protection, or they're just...
Well, he was like a spokesperson.
They're just on the tax issue. Well, it's the vote.
He's basically the...
Yeah.
you know, he gets all the media contact. And
see, the funny thing about it is really the Vote No team was, what, Tim Pugh and Ashley.
It was Lisa, Ashley, Tim, and I. Yeah.
Tim Pugh and Ashley.
It was four of us.
There was four of you. And then, the second time around here in the vote...
We just kept
it's just people. So
I didn't even help them.
And they even talked about, they're loosely organized. I said, well, yeah, they are, because it's not really a team. It's just... people.
I think it is.
You know, it's like you and her and me and
for
other guys.
People in the city to vote twice.
Yeah.
There's people that just didn't feel comfortable. Like you said, the trust part of it. It isn't that you don't want to protect your house here. It's that you want to know how they're going to do it.
And then people...
No, they don't plan to protect our house.
I shouldn't even...
Or anybody on Ellis.
...about it one way or another, because it really doesn't make any difference to me at this point whether they build a wall 2 blocks behind my house or not. It's, I still have flood insurance.
But, if that, for a reason, that railroad bridge that we were talking about caused a lot of the damage.
So that would have been the one that caused damage on Mallory Street then?
Well,
because I have relatives over there and they want to sue. They're upset.
Mallory Street?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of where
Sharon.
that's
like Hamilton, Mallory, down in Czech Village.
Yeah.
And that's the ones where when that water came around and it blew off the backside of their foundations, people were saying they were watching it come up and it was violently coming up because something was damaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it wasn't dammed...
Floods don't violently move. They do down the river, but...
Thanks for your time, and I don't...
Thank you.
I don't need that back, and I don't expect to even talk about it anymore, but just...
Thanks. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
This is cool.